All right then, to finish off my turn, I'm going to tap this much mana and cast Bake into a Pie, targeting your Stormcrow. So that destroys your creature, and I create a food token. And, I'm not seeing my infinite tokens here. Just go ahead with your turn. I'm just going to go find some tokens, all right? Hi, this is Chain, welcoming you back to Chain of Commander, and for today's food token, we have ourselves an 1.5-inch cut thick cut of ribeye steak. Now, to start this thing off, we are going to want to dry brine this. This will allow us to have an evenly salted steak all the way through, while also maintaining a nice dry edge to ensure we get that sear we are looking for when we go to cook it. And when it comes to dry brining, it's really quite simple. You just cover the thing in salt, let it sit in your fridge for about 24 hours. So we're just going to get that going here. We're just going to cover this guy with a whole bunch of salt. Just get it all over here. Make sure it's got a nice even coating. Get both sides. Yeah, get that salt on there. If you got any friends that get really salty when they play Magic against you, so you can put some of that salt to use. Make sure you get the edges. Just get everything there. All right, look it. We got that thing nicely salted all over on all sides. We'll just want to grab a baking rack, keep it elevated, let it sit, and we're just going to put this in the fridge overnight. So I'll check with you folks again tomorrow once this thing is ready. All right, it's been 24 hours later. Our prime rib has dry brine, and you can tell that it did what it needs to do because of its darker color now. And if you touch it, it's no longer wet or sticky. It definitely feels a lot drier than a steak normally would. However, that doesn't mean we get to just start grilling it yet. We still have to season this thing, and we want to let it sit out in room temperature for about 20 or so minutes. So as far as seasoning is concerned, I am a simple man. It's already salted. You don't need to add any more salt to it. So the only other half of that is pepper. Freshly ground black pepper all over the outside of this thing. Get it nice and seasoned. And when it comes to seasoning, you can really do whatever you want. My personal preference is just salt and pepper, but some people like to use garlic powder, or chili powder, or rubs and whatnot. And there's really, it all comes down to personal preference. There's no right or wrong way to season a steak as long as you end up enjoying it. All right, let's get this other side. Just black pepper all over it. Let's get the ends here just with the bits that fell off. All right. All right, now that our steak is seasoned, we're going to let this sit and relax for about 20 to 30 minutes before we start cooking it. And we're going to take advantage of this time as well. We're going to get our cast iron on heat to get it nice and hot and ready to sear. And then we'll preheat our oven to 250 degrees to make sure that we're ready to roast this to finish off the cook. So, I'll see you guys in about 20 to 30 minutes. All right, here we are ready to cook. We have a nice hot cast iron pan, lightly oiled, and all we need to do is about 3 minutes each side in the cast iron pan. Hear that sizzle? That is what you want to hear. That means the cast iron is nicely hot. And what we're going to do to get those nice grill lines is after about 1.5 minutes, we're going to rotate it 90 degrees and cook it for the other 1.5 minutes that way. And then we'll flip it over. So I'll get going on that, and I'll check back with you folks when I'm done. All right, we are off the heat. All we now need to do to get this ready for the stove is we're going to add some butter, let that melt, add some rosemary and thyme to infuse the flavors, and get some crushed garlic in there. We'll let that butter melt, get those flavors mingling. And as the butter's melting, we will grab our little brushy thing and we will get this thing brushed in some tasty, tasty melted butter goodness. That nice and covered and ready for the oven. Now, we want to finish this thing at an internal temp of 125 degrees Fahrenheit. So to keep an eye on that here, we do have a single probe thermometer that we will use while this is in the stove that I will insert and then add to the oven here. And then every couple of minutes, we'll just go in, we'll just reapply the butter to it, and after it hits 125, we should be done. All right, our alarm is going off, so we are up to temp. So we're gonna pull this guy out of here. Look at that, that smells amazing. All right, we're gonna give it one last brush of the butter here. I guess we can turn this guy off. One last brush with the butter. And then we're gonna let this guy sit for about 10 minutes or so to finish cooking on the inside. And you gotta let it sit or else all the juices spill out when you cut into it. You don't want that. You want those juices left inside the meat. So I'm gonna move this over to a cutting board. And I'll see you guys in about 10 minutes once everything is all chillaxed. All right, it's been 10 minutes of this sitting here, letting the juices just incorporate and letting it finish cooking inside. And at this point, the smell is just getting to me. I need to cut this thing open and have myself a piece. So I'm going to take this comically large meat knife here. First thing you do, you cut off the bone. Just go right down. Cut that off. And then, let's see here. What side do we want to go from? Let's just go from this side. Just cut it down. Oh, look at that pink. Look at that juice. My goodness. Holy moly, that looks amazing. Holy moly. All right, before we dig in, let's go over what we did here. We let this thing dry brine for 24 hours before cooking it, allowing it to get perfectly salted all the way through. Then when it came time to cook, we seasoned it the way we like. In this case, we just used a whole bunch of black pepper. We proceeded to sear it in a hot cast iron pan for 3 minutes each side to get that nice crust developed on the outside. And then we finished this thing in the stove at 250 until we reached an internal temp of 125 degrees Fahrenheit. At this point, I need to have a piece of this. This stuff looks amazing. Let's see here. This piece at the end looks pretty good. Oh! Wow. Malcolm Reed, I hope I did you proud.
Weren't you playing a game of Magic?
Oops. Alright guys, get my food token here. Guys?